September 11, 2001, a day that saw the loss of countless lives, is a date etched in history. As we pay tribute to them 23 years later, a select few of us were granted the profound honor of visiting the 9/11 Memorial on July 9, 2024, courtesy of our Board of Education and Administration. We are bestowed the solemn honor of engaging in a dialogue at this hallowed site, underscoring the significance of this event to our generation.
We spoke with Thomas Leeds, a 9/11 survivor from the 74th floor who worked for Morgan Stanley, Michael Matthews, a history teacher in New York City for more than 33 years, and Rick Scalin, a 9/11 memorial dozer who was serving our nation at the time. We now share with you what we have learned.
Well, when you walk into the museum and come and see the amazing blue wall, and you have that inscription on the wall, "No day shall erase you from the memory of time," that's really what the memorial's about. It's remembering those who died here. It's remembering those who lived through the day. It's remembering those who were absolutely heroic, the ordinary office worker who helped their colleagues get down 70, 80 flights of stairs. Obviously, the 343 firemen who passed that day. When you're outside walking the memorial, it is incredibly touching to see the names of each person. You will often see someone running their hands over the name. You'll find out it's the grandpa, it's the grandmother, it's someone they knew. I often, when I come in, I always touch the name of Father Michael Judge. I knew him, I heard him preach a number of times. He was the heroic Catholic chaplain who passed that day. So it's about remembering the incredible number of lives who were lost and those who survived and helped. You've got to make it a real story, and I will often talk to my students. I'm still teaching. I've been teaching for 40 years. I'll talk to my students about what it was like to teach that day, what it was like to look out of the windows of my school in Queens and see the buildings on fire, what it was like to get home that day and find out some friends from college were lost or still missing and then turned out to be lost. So you have to make it a very personal experience. And then what you'll get is a lot of students will then suddenly say, "My God, my grandpa was there. My great uncle was there. My mom was supposed to be working that day. She was running late." So you make the connections to those stories. Oh, I'm always talking to my students about you've got to find your purpose in life. You've got to find the purpose in serving others. And so that's part of what the memorial also remembers is all those who were serving others, people who just jumped in to help. Again, the ordinary person, that you find your meaning in serving others and your purpose. Yeah, well, that's why we have to constantly focus on the incredibly diverse background of everyone who passed that day, everyone who was here. Again, people of different religions, people of different nations. As a matter of fact, when you are in the upper level of the museum, you'll see flags representing the nations of each person who passed away that day. So many people working here passed. So you've got to connect on that level and really learn about the respect for other human beings. Diversity is our strength and learning from other people. I often think of the poem from W.H. Auden, "We must love one another or die."
My name is Tom Leeds. I live in New Jersey, and I worked at Morgan Stanley at 2 World Trade Center. Actually, it's the South Tower, and I was on the 74th floor when the building hit. A couple of things I wanted to talk about was, one of the things that there's a lot of memories for me. And I'm sorry to get choked up, sorry. A lot of memories for me, but one of the things I remember is how beautiful the view was. I could see Governor's Island, I could see the Statue of Liberty, I could see Ellis Island out my window. And on that particular day, I heard a big boom, and thousands of pieces of paper were flying by the building. And little bit later, I saw fireballs, which I possibly think were engines from the plane. Now, people had been on the other side of the building where I worked, and everybody was telling us it was a small plane. But we knew we had to get out. So without going into all the details, basically, our whole department left. People had been there in 1993 and knew what that took, how long that took to get out of the building, so we left right away. I chose to walk down the stairs. I walked down 74 flights. When I got to the 44th floor, there was something called the Sky Lobby. And in the Sky Lobby, they had a television, so I was trying to find out what was going on. And so I was there maybe a minute or two, and the whole building shook, because that's when the plane hit our building. And if you were in the building, you really didn't know what was going on. I personally thought the other building had fallen on our building, and a lot of people fell down, but unfortunately, or fortunately, people didn't panic. We still had lights, but we knew we had to get out of the building. And one of my memories, about the building is that, you know, everybody was going down, but the only people that were going up were firemen. And so I just remember that. This is hard for me because I haven't talked about this for a while. Okay. I guess one that I wanted to focus on is like that people helped us that day. I remember going out of the building and there was a police lady, and she got everybody. She just keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. She just got everybody out of the building. And I always thought about her after 9/11. I always wondered what happened about her, but I never knew. Another thing that really struck in my mind is when we were going to the ferries. We went north to the ferries, and there was a lady there. There were thousands and thousands of people waiting for the ferries, and this one woman that worked there, she kept making people laugh, and that's one of my best memories of the day. There's many other things too. I guess I'm not going to go through the whole story because I could be here an hour, but I guess I want to talk about one other thing, and that's really the end of the day. I got home about 5:30, and our local church had a service, and that just shows you how people get together. There was a service, and they sang at the end, "Let there peace on earth and let it begin with me." And it's a great song, and so whenever I think of 9/11, that's what I think of. When you go to the historical exhibit, it does bring you back to the day, and you see the violence of the day. It goes through a timeline. You see what happened to the buildings. You also see what happened to people. You know, high schoolers are old enough to see some of these graphic images, which are very, very important to see because I think it hits you when you see the images. Whereas, like, if you're on a TV show, it's not real, but this is real. And I think that's why something like this is very important for them to see and experience in order to have that, you know, the value of what happened.
My name is Rick Scanlon. I'm a volunteer docent here at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. Been doing this for a little over 7 years. My experiences from being here for a few days kind of prompted me to get involved at an early stage with the museum, and then as a volunteer. The museum itself is a very emotional space. The outside plaza is called, based on a design called Reflecting Absence, which was the combination of a landscape architect and a regular architect, Michael Rod and Peter Walker. To me, the plaza evokes the emotion because of the vacant space where the towers once existed. Down below ground here at ground zero, as we call it, the museum itself is full of artifacts that kind of represent both the tragedy of the day and the heroism of the day, because there were so many fantastic things that happened to help the site recover and to help people survive the events of the day. The 2,977 lives that were lost have an impact on me every time I come here. And I find that most of the visitors, it impacts them too as well, as you tell them some of the backstories of how people survived. And that's kind of the purpose of a docent, is to bring to life some of the tales of heroism and bravery from the days of September 11th. Those of us who are old enough to live it, and I remember when I was in school, the assassination of President Kennedy. And I kind of relate that to the students of today, because that's something that's stuck in my mind even when I was 8, 9, 10 years old when it happened. And so you kind of make a connection to, the day of September 11th and other people's personal experiences, but it's hard to be desensitized to the deaths of 2,977 people. And so, again, the docents kind of bring to life individual stories of how people perished. And again, about bravery. So that's how I kind of make the connection to today's kids, who some schools teach and some schools don't.
The entire experience left a lasting impression on us. We increased our awareness of the fateful day and its impact on the lives of so many even today.
It instilled a great sense of purpose and pride as we move towards this new school year with our theme of living with purpose, acting with honor, and thriving in unity. Thank you.